Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner Podcast. I'm Dillon, I'm your host, and today, guys, we're going to be talking about how to grow, develop, and train your people so that you can buy back your time, as Dan Martell would say, and really help grow the organization in a way that doesn't have your people drinking through a fire hose. It allows them to onboard, train, develop, somewhat at their own pace, but also at the pace of whatever your company is going to do. Here at Vertical Design Services, like, we expect people to grow pretty quickly and train pretty quickly. That's not every company, but we do have high expectations here. So that's what you're going to have today on the Construction Corner Podcast. So Elon has a big deal that he goes through now is if there's not a name tied to a requirement or a process, it doesn't exist. So a lot of the examples that Elon went through, and it's in his newest biography by Walter Isaacson, NASA or somebody had a requirement of what could be on the lift or how to move a rocket or something crazy. And so with that, they're like, well, why does that exist? Well, NASA says you got to do it. Okay, well, why and who? And well, I don't know. Okay, well, there's a better way to move rockets around or whatever it is. And so they changed the requirement or got the requirement changed because it's no longer needed. And granted, saved them whatever, probably millions of dollars, which is why you can then do reusable rocket flights. But the whole point is that if there's no name tied to a given execution, then nobody's responsible. And if nobody is responsible for a given requirement or deliverable or whatever else, then you get a lot of, well, I thought you were doing it, or I thought Bob was doing it. Well, fucking Bob doesn't even work here. So why are we talking about this? And you get that whole dialogue around finger pointing and blame. So when you really assign stuff, what I do with my new guys is I've had one guy who's been with me for longer, very proficient in fire alarm drawings. Okay, so you're the reviewer. I'm going to assign it to the other new guy that we hired, and then other guy will review the new guy's stuff, and then once you're all happy with it, then you send it to me for final review because you're both newer, but one guy's been with me longer. Next guy, hey, y'all kind of work together and you live close and all that kind of stuff, so great, you guys figure it out, but hey, you're responsible for this fresh guy. And then the senior guy is going to review it, and then y'all send it to me when you're done. Very simple, right? You're still responsible for it. He's going to help you so that I don't have to. And then when you're all done, it comes to me, we review it, and then I provide feedback to you on what's happening. Very simple process, right? And you just rinse and repeat all of that. And ultimately, you get to where the senior guy can train and lead the next set of people so that you pull yourself out of the training position. Because really all you're trying to do is build the pyramid, right? You put all the building blocks in of all the people, all the training materials for each construction and engineering. It's like, okay, well, here's all the tools how to use Revit. Here's all the tools of how to do lighting design. Here's all the tools to do fire alarm design. Here's all the tools to do arc flash studies. Here's all the tools to do power distribution and those designs. The next level, the next level, the next level. And you just start building all the training materials, because then you have okay, well, here's managerial skills, right? Here's how to train technical things. So then you have a level of technical trainers and technical people. Then you have project managers and those guys of hey, we're going to embody you and you have potential in whatever, so we're going to teach you how to do personal skills and deal with people and manage projects and what those look like and how to keep track of them all. And then there's a layer in there too of here's financial skills now for the PMs, and how do you keep track of margins? How do you bill people? How do you tell them to pay? So you have, all of those soft skills in there with the financial somewhat acumen. And then as you move up in senior management, then it's how do you deal with a department or division around their financial goals, their expenditures, their margins. And then you can do that with each division and department. And then you do it as a company or a geography. And so you build upon all of these, but you start at the bottom and train technical in each vertical of what you do, and then you pass that off to people. For most engineering firms, as a technical leader in the company, you know all this stuff, but you got to break down each silo, each discipline, each segment of it, and get somebody just to do that, because most projects encompass a ton of stuff that you can't just overnight embody somebody with all of that knowledge. We're not there yet. You got to train them, get them to do it. You got to have enough project flow to get them to do that stuff repeatedly, and then train them on the next thing, and then backfill their position with another guy because you have project flow in that specific area that they can just do that, right? And so it's then for the company owner or whatever, matching sales with then how you train people, how you move them through the organization. What do pay raises look like at each level of the organization? What do your skills look like? What does a PM really do? Do you have them doing projects? And a lot of these guys talk about that if you're in management, you need to have 10, 20% still doing the thing so that you understand what they go through. So this is why Elon and his companies has the engineers sit next to the production guys on the manufacturing floor, so that when a manufacturing process isn't right, that the manufacturing guys on the floor can go and grab an engineer and say, hey, why is this screwed up? And then they can fix it together. Like, oh, I thought this was going to work X, Y, or Z. Turns out it doesn't. Okay, here's how we can fix this thing. You're now one step removed from the process. You're halfway in it, right? You're not 3-4 levels removed from the process, where like the guy on the production floor would have to go to their manager, maybe go to a division VP, who would then have to go to an engineering manager, down to the engineer. Now you remove those 3-4 steps in the process, and it's one step removed in that, hey, you worked on this, your name is here, you're responsible for the project, I'm going to grab you and we're going to solve this together. It's no different than in engineering and building trades where, okay, hey, architect has a problem with how I did something, or the mechanical guy, I don't like his voltages. I can go talk to the mechanical guy directly and say, hey, this isn't right, or hey, we need everything at 480 volts, or hey, we only have 208 service in here, so put all your mechanical equipment at 208. We'd prefer it to be 3-phase. Great, thank you very much. Or hey, I can't get that piece of equipment and that voltage. This is what I can get it in. Will that work? Yes, no, whatever it is, and then you move forward. So a lot of these problems can just be solved by total direct communication. It's the most straightforward thing you can do. Not that it's easy. It is pretty straightforward, but you just also have to then remember to do it, which ultimately makes it difficult, and nobody does it, and so it's hard. And that's also like the best reframe that I've ever had is like in engineering, there's, easy enough, right? Easy enough. One of our clients, all the reframes now are, it's straightforward. It's not easy. If it's easy, anybody can do it. But it is straightforward, right? We know what to do, we know how to do it, and therefore we can make the adjustments that we need to execute the project before us, right? It still takes time, it still takes expertise, it's straightforward, it's not easy. Big reframe for everybody out there too. But that's leadership, man. That's training. It's one step at a time, one person at a time. You're not going to train an army overnight, right? You look at even like how Army military works, not that I am in it, but from an outsider's perspective, yes, you have a class, for like special forces guys or whatever, but as you're training one guy to shoot at a time, right? They have a one-on-one instruction all the way through, right? You have an instructor, and then anybody that needs reinforcement goes to like that individual. It's all small group stuff, right? If a private in the Army doesn't move correctly, they have a guy to correct them, right? It's all one-to-one. There are group instruction, but all reinforcements done for the best units, individually, because that's how people learn. You have to have individual reinforcement, individual training. And that is this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Until next time.